Hey, how's it going guys? This is Dave2D, and this isn't one of my regular tech review videos, but Disney recently released two flying drones. One of them is a quadcopter that's shaped like the Millennium Falcon, and the other is an X-Wing fighter that is just a regular front flying drone. So I'm not a huge Star Wars person. I mean, I'm a casual admirer at best, but I do like flying things, and I've had these for a couple of days, so here's my review. So I'm going to unbox and review both of these in one video because that's just how I roll. The X-Wing retails for $70 US, that's the one with the bigger box on the left, and the Millennium Falcon is in the smaller box on the right, which retails for $110 US. The Millennium Falcon is recommended for kids 10 and older, and inside the box you get the quadcopter itself, the remote, and a micro USB charging cable. It's made out of some spongy styrofoam looking material, which feels kind of like Nerf gun ammo, so the body of the drone is definitely durable and it can take a bit of a beating. The paint job on it is kind of sparse. I mean, it's beige foam with a few painted spots. I just wish they'd painted the entire drone and had some more details on it, but maybe they did it to keep weight down. I don't know, I mean, paint seems pretty light. Alright, to charge the drone, you plug in the USB cable to your computer, and then you take the micro USB end and plug that into the remote. And then you open up a hatch on the remote to find a second cable, and you use that cable, plug that into the drone, and it begins charging. So this is the more complicated way to charge it. The easier way is to not use that first USB cable at all, and just to use the batteries inside the remote. But then you're draining the 6 AA batteries inside the remote to charge the drone, and that's kind of lame, so I always use the USB cable. It flashes red when it's charging, and then it lights up green when it's done. The remote for the Millennium Falcon is pretty basic. It's one stick that controls the movement, which is your left-right movement, as well as forwards and backwards, and then the other stick controls the up-down throttle and rotation. There's also a volume control here, which lets you control the volume of the sound effects coming out of the remote. On the back, there are a couple triggers. The triangle icon plays different sound effects depending on what the drone is doing, and the other is for a hyperspace mode, which tilts the drone forward and then it flies a little bit faster. So when you turn the drone on, some lights come on and it pairs up with the remote. Some blue LEDs in the back, and there's a couple white LEDs up front. This is definitely one of the cooler features of the drone. The lights give it this authentic look when it's flying around, and you can play with it in the dark. So flying this guy is pretty simple. If you've had any quadcopter experience before, the controls are really similar. It's not headless, so your control sticks are always relative to the drone itself and not the pilot. And it's a beginner's drone, right? It's obviously designed for younger kids to enjoy as well, so it's not going to go super fast or anything. And it is pretty durable. I've banged this up quite a few times over the past couple of days, and it's held up well. And see this right here? This is hyperspace mode. It's charging towards the camera. Flight time is around 7 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes if you just kind of let it hover and do its thing. Now, it's not an advanced drone, it doesn't have trim controls, and it doesn't have any features to make it do flips or any cool tricks, and the top speed feels kind of limited if you've used more advanced drones, but it's a very lightweight device, so if you're a parent and you're worried about your kids smashing it around in your house, I wouldn't sweat it. It's a pretty gentle device. My only gripe with it is the price. Obviously, you're paying a huge premium for like an official Star Wars licensed product, but it's a very basic and overpriced drone for $110. You can get way better quality drones for half the price, but those aren't Millennium Falcon drones, so if you want to remote control Millennium Falcon, then you have to pay up. And to be honest, even though I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, it's kind of fun to fly around because of that blue glowing engine. Alright, now before I unbox the X-Wing drone, I just wanted to show you the two controllers. They are slightly different. I'll go into details of the X-Wing controller in a bit, but they've designed it in a way so that you can use both of them together without any signal interference. Also, they label the battery covers so you can tell them apart, and you can't put the wrong covers on because of the different sized tabs at the bottom. But if you do have both of these drones, it's like a tangled mess of wires when you're charging them. Okay, the X-Wing drone. It's also rated for 10+. When you open up the box, you get the drone, 4 plastic laser cannon things, and the remote. It doesn't come with a USB cable, even though it can use one, just like the Millennium Falcon, which is kind of weird. It's made of the same kind of material as the Millennium Falcon, spongy, nerfy stuff with a paint job. I think it's actually a better paint job than the Millennium Falcon. And there's an R2-D2 guy that sits on the top here. He's made out of plastic and he does not come out. Trust me, I tried pretty hard. At the front of the drone, there's a clear plastic fin. You're not supposed to remove it, it's needed for flight, but X-Wings don't have this piece here normally, so they tried to make it really subtle and invisible, and it's actually not that bad. Those 4 plastic laser cannon things fit into the wings, but they're only here for aesthetics when it's sitting around. When it's time to fly, you have to remove them. I actually did try flying it with the cannons in, and it just doesn't work very well at all. It charges up the same way with the hatch on the remote again. You connect the cable and juice it up. The controls are a little different. Engine throttle on the left stick, and on the right stick it does some steering. And the knob down here is like a trim control. You use it to tune the two motors to help it fly straight. There's also two triggers up top that don't do anything, they're just kind of there to taunt you. So if you're wondering how this one works, the two motors are front facing. When you hit the throttle, both motors spin and it flies forwards. Turning it left and right activates only one of the engines at a time to steer it. I tried playing with it indoors and it works, but it's not fun at all. So I went out with my friend to test things out, and it's way better outside. I've never flown anything like this before, and there's a bit of a learning curve. So you basically crank the throttle to max and you hold it there just before you let it go. I smashed it a couple times and you kind of figure out that it's basically all in a really good launch. If you have a bad launch, there's no amount of piloting that's going to save you. You want to launch it as straight as you can, so don't throw it upwards like a paper airplane or a glider because it just climbs up way too fast. You want to throw it like dead straight and just let the motors do the work. It was a little windy that day, and when the wind blows it really messes up with the flight. You also want to stay away from trees because it will eventually get caught in them, and the X-Wing has so many like protrusions and things, it's difficult to get it out. Alright, so which is a better buy between the two drones? I think they're both pretty fun. I think the X-Wing is actually a better value over the Millennium Falcon. First, it's bigger, it's cheaper, and like you can get two people to play this thing. So one person could launch it and the other person can do the controls. But the Millennium Falcon is more of like a one-person toy because two people are just going to be fighting over that controller. I crashed them a lot over the past few days and they both didn't break, they seem pretty well made. And even though they both say 10 plus, I think younger kids will have more fun with the Millennium Falcon. It's just more forgiving to learn and you don't have to run around chasing it when you play with it. The last thing to keep in mind is that the X-Wing is more of an outdoors toy, like you just need a lot more space to use it. So if you're getting it during the holiday season, you may not be able to use it outdoors in the winter. But with the Millennium Falcon, you can basically play with it anywhere you want, as long as your piloting skills are good. So that about wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thumbs if you did, and if you stumbled upon this channel randomly, hit that thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. It's been nice, and I'll see you guys next time.